Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're focusing on, well, a really interesting and maybe slightly unusual chapter in the book of Proverbs.
Chapter 30, right?
Exactly. Chapter 30. It's attributed to Agur, son of Jake, not Solomon, and it just has this distinct flavor.
It really does. And our goal here is to sort of unpack that, see what unique insights and maybe surprising bits are tucked away in this one chapter.
So Agur, he addresses Ithiel and Ucal, but how he starts is, well, it's not what you might expect from a wisdom text.
No, not at all. He leads with this almost shocking humility.
Right. He says, I am the most ignorant of men. I do not have a man's understanding. I mean, most ignorant.
It's stark. And then, I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One.
It kind of stops you in your tracks.
It does. And maybe that's the first big insight, that real wisdom. Perhaps it starts right there admitting what you don't know.
That sense of intellectual humility.
Yeah, acknowledging your limits. It opens you up maybe to actually learning something. Sets a very different tone.
And straight from saying, I don't understand, he dives into these huge questions about God's power.
Uh-huh. Big rhetorical questions like, who has gone up to heaven and come down?
Who has gathered up the wind in his hands?
Wrapped up the waters in his cloak. Basically asking, who's really in charge of all this fundamental stuff?
Very fabric of creation.
Exactly. Who set the boundaries of the earth? He's not looking for an answer like Bob did. He wants you to feel the scale, the mystery.
And then that one question that really stands out.
The one about the name.
Yes. What is his name and the name of his son? Tell me if you know.
That one always sparks discussion. It hints at something deeper, a relationship or an identity within the divine that's, well, beyond easy answers, a mystery within the mystery.
It definitely makes you pause and wonder. So after pondering this immense kind of mysterious God.
He brings it back down. How does this God communicate?
Right. And he makes this really bold claim about God's word.
Very bold. Every word of God is flawless.
Flawless, perfect, trustworthy. And he's a shield for those who take refuge in him.
That sense of reliability, of safety in his words. But then comes the warning.
Oh yeah, a really sharp one.
Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar.
Wow. So don't mess with it. Don't put your own spin on it and claim it's divine.
Basically, yeah. The integrity of the message is crucial. It's seen as complete, sufficient. Tampering is dangerous.
Right, so from that high theological point, Ugur gets very personal, very practical. He offers a prayer.
A specific two-part request.
What does he ask for?
First, keep falsehood and lies far from me. Honesty, truthfulness, both in himself and around him.
That seems fundamental. And the second part?
Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread.
Just enough. Not too much, not too little. Why that specific balance?
Well, he explains his reasoning, and it's really insightful about human nature.
Okay.
He says basically if I have too much, I might get arrogant, forget God, and say, who is the Lord?
Uh-huh. Self-sufficiency kicking in.
Exactly. But on the other hand, or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my God.
Ah, so desperation leading to wrong choices.
Precisely. Both extremes carry significant spiritual risks. Too much wealth can lead to pride and forgetting dependence. Too little can lead to desperate acts that violate your principles.
So the prayer is for that middle ground, the just enough, as a way to avoid those specific temptations. That's incredibly practical wisdom.
It really is. Seeking moderation is a kind of moral safeguard.
Okay, so after that personal plea, he shifts again. Now he's warning about specific social behaviors.
Yes, starting with how you treat vulnerable people. Do not slander a servant to his master.
Don't badmouth someone to their boss, basically.
Right, because he will curse you and you will pay for it. There are consequences for that kind of malicious talk.
Got it. And then he lists these types, these kinds of people whose actions are just wrong.
Yeah, 4 categories. First, those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers.
Attacking very foundation respect for parents.
A huge deal in that society, and arguably still is. Then, the second type.
Who's next?
Those who are pure in their own eyes, and yet are not cleansed of their filth.
Ooh, the hypocrites. Thinking they're clean, but inwardly corrupt.
That's self-deception, yeah. Looking good on the outside, but not so much inside.
A timeless problem. What's the third group?
Those with haughty eyes whose glances are so disdainful.
Arrogance, looking down their noses at everyone, you can just picture it.
That contemptuous attitude.
Yeah.
And the last one is maybe the harshest description.
Okay.
Those whose teeth are swords and whose jaws are set with knives to devour the poor, the needy.
Wow. That's brutal imagery.
It really is. It frames exploitation not just as taking something, but as violent consumption,
That
like predators tearing apart the vulnerable.
makes the injustice feel incredibly sharp and deliberate. Okay, so from these failing human types, where does he go next?
He shifts to things that are never satisfied. Starts with a really vivid picture.
Which is
The leech has two daughters. Give, give, they cry.
that constant demand, insatiable.
Exactly. And that sets up a list of 4 things that never say enough.
Let's hear them.
But the grave,
Always room for one more.
the barren womb,
The unfulfilled longing.
the gland, which is never satisfied with water,
Always thirsty.
and fire, which never says enough.
Consumes everything. Always needs more fuel.
Right. So these forces, death, unfulfilled desire, natural needs, destructive elements, they represent this idea of bottomless appetite or endless consumption. Makes you wonder what else operates like that.
Human greed, maybe?
Hmm?
Addiction.
Yeah.
It's a powerful concept.
Definitely food for thought. And speaking of consequences, he circles back to disrespecting parents again.
With an even stronger image this time.
Much stronger. It's
Okay.
incredibly graphic. The eye that mocks a father, that scorns obedience to a mother,
Okay.
will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley, will be eaten by the vultures.
Whoa. That is intense.
It's horrifying, isn't it? It underlines just how foundational and serious that parent-child respect was considered. Violating it wasn't minor. It had these almost natural, brutal consequences attached.
A very stark warning. But then the chapter takes another fascinating turn, right?
Yes, a complete shift in tone, from these harsh realities and warnings to things that are too amazing, things he doesn't quite grasp. Another list of 4.
What are these amazing, mysterious things?
He lists the way of an eagle in the sky,
Effortless flight, leaving no path.
the way of a snake on a rock,
Silent movement, again, trackless.
the way of a ship on the high seas,
Crossing the vast ocean, its wake quickly disappearing.
and the way of a man with a maiden.
Human attraction, courtship relationships. Also kind of mysterious and hard to pin down.
Exactly. The insight seems to be that alongside predictable cause and effect, there are these beautiful, fluid, almost inexplicable parts of life and nature, things that just are, and they're wonderful, even if you can't fully analyze how they work or where they've been.
It's a lovely acknowledgement of mystery amidst all the practical advice. But then, immediately after that,
Back to harsh reality, a very specific, not at all mysterious example of human deceit.
the adulteress.
Yes, this is the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, "I've done nothing wrong."
Cleans up the evidence, denies the act. Simple, blatant dishonesty.
It's a stark picture of choosing falsehood, covering tracks, and just lying, directly contradicting the truthfulness Agor prayed for.
Okay, another list coming up. The ones that make the earth tremble.
That's right. 4 situations that cause instability, things the social order cannot bear up under.
Yeah, okay.
A servant who becomes king,
A massive power shift, potentially disruptive.
a fool who is full of food,
Someone undeserving or incapable having abundance. Resentment waiting to happen.
an unloved woman who is married,
Deep relational unhappiness and instability at the core.
and a maidservant who displaces her mistress.
Upheaval within the household hierarchy. So these are all about disruption. Things being out of whack, causing tension and instability.
Exactly. They represent fundamental disturbances to the perceived natural or social order, leading inevitably to trouble and unease.
Got it. But then, a contrast. Small things that are wise.
Yes, another list of 4, but this time highlighting wisdom in unexpected places. Nature again.
Like the ants.
Precisely. Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. Insight. Plan ahead. Prepare, even if you're not powerful. Prudence.
Okay, who's next?
Conies or rock badgers. Creatures of little power, yet they make their home in the crags. Insight. Find security through cleverness and adaptation, using the environment.
Smart. And locusts.
Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. Insight. The power of cooperation, organized collective action, even without a leader.
Interesting. And the last one.
The lizard. Can be caught with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces.
How does that work?
Adaptability? Persistence, maybe? Finding a way into places of influence despite being small and seemingly easy to overcome? Cleverness in navigating spaces?
So wisdom isn't just about being big or strong. It's practical, adaptive, cooperative.
Found in the small, the overlooked, a great counterpoint to the earlier warnings about arrogance.
Definitely. Okay, one more list of 4, I think. Things with stately bearing.
That's the one. Things that move with impressiveness or dignity.
Like,
A lion, mighty among beasts, who retreats before nothing. Natural power, courage.
can picture that.
A strutting rooster.
Huh. Puffed up confidence.
A he-goat, leading the way, determined maybe.
Okay. And the last.
A king with his army around him. Visible authority, collective power, order.
So different kinds of impressive presence from raw nature to organized human power.
Yeah, varied examples of what looks stately.
All right, we're nearing the end of the chapter. How does Ugur wrap things up?
With a very direct personal warning and then some simple punchy analogies.
What's more?
If you have played the fool and exalted yourself, or if you have planned evil, clap your hand over your mouth.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Stop doing. Silence yourself if you realize you're heading down a bad path.
Exactly. A call for immediate self-awareness and restraint. Don't make it worse.
And the analogies drive that home.
They really do. Very clear cause and effect. For as churning, the milk produces butter,
Okay, applying force gets result.
and as twisting the nose produces blood.
Again, direct action, painful consequence.
So stirring up anger produces strife.
Ah. Just as surely as the other two, provoking anger in yourself or others inevitably leads to conflict.
It's blunt. Agitating anger will cause trouble, pain, struggle. It's a natural consequence. Don't do it.
The final, very practical piece of wisdom about managing conflict and emotion.
Ties it all together neatly.
Mm.
The internal state or action leads directly to an external negative outcome.
So looking back at this whole chapter, this deep dive, wow, it covers a lot of ground.
It really does. From that profound starting point of humility, questioning God's vastness,
To very specific prayers about needing just enough, wanting truth.
sharp critiques of hypocrisy, arrogance, exploitation,
Then finding wisdom in ants and lizards.
acknowledging life's amazing mysteries alongside its predictable consequences.
And ending with that stark warning about anger.
It's packed, isn't it? Doggery uses these incredibly vivid images, the leech, the vultures, the trembling earth, the churning milk that really stick with you.
And so much of it still feels relevant. You see these patterns, these human behaviors, these societal tensions he describes playing out all around us.
Absolutely. The insatiable desires, the quiet wisdom, the consequences of anger. It's timeless stuff. It gives you a lens to look at your own life and the world.
So as you listen, maybe think, how do Augur's observations connect with what you see? Where do you notice those insatiable forces? Or the wisdom of the small? What makes the earth tremble in your world?
And maybe this final thought to carry away. Agur shows us these things that are too amazing, almost beyond understanding, leaving no trace. Yet he also lays out these very clear, often harsh cause and effect scenarios.
Right, the mystery and the predictability side by side.
How do we live holding both? Recognizing life has these incredible, inexplicable wonders and that our choices often have direct, unavoidable consequences. That's a tension worth thinking about.